Hello and Privyet. Welcome back, tubers and connoisseurs, to collectrussia.com, to another fantastic episode. What do we got today, Igor?
Today we will be doing the second part of the two-part series on naval medals. And equally interesting, equally important to Ushakov medal that we discussed previously is Nakhimov medal. Established at the same time as Ushakov medal, it was supposed to be a lesser, secondary, you could say, version of the naval award to enlisted men. And once again, to remind, this was the first in Soviet practice that a medal would be specifically for lower ranks. At the same time as they established Ushakov and Nakhimov medal, there were two orders established: Ushakov Order of Ushakov, first and second class, and Order of Nakhimov, second class. So here we have a fully developed rank and class system that Soviets supposedly hated and forswore to never use again. It returned in full swing to a larger extent, you may say, in some regards, than during the Tsarist era. And now you have special awards that were only to officers. And now you have special awards such as Nakhimov and Ushakov medals, specifically for enlisted personnel of the Navy, to replace, to large extent, combat service medal, medal for merit, as it's also called. It's kind of a sister medal, sister award to the Soviet combat service medal, awarded along the same lines, with one important distinction, that it could only be awarded to enlisted or petty officers in the Navy. Again, Navy became more important by 1944. Soviet Union's war against Germany and German allies was mostly a land war. There was relatively little action in open seas. There was, of course, submarine warfare. There were landings on enemy shores. There was defense of Soviet naval bases, sometimes successful, sometimes not. But it played a second fiddle, of course, to the main action. Even actions as important at sea as convoys to Murmansk, the protection of convoys, was still not quite on the level, on the scale of the Battle of Moscow, Battle of Leningrad, of course, Battle of Stalingrad. With that in mind, it's not surprising that the medal came so late in the war, only in March of 1944. But here, the whole scenery had changed by then. Soviets were in the ascendant in the north, in the Baltics, and also in the south, where Crimea was about to be liberated, where Soviets were putting significant pressure on German allies, such as Romania, on the sea lines, even in the Black Sea, which would be unthinkable before. And Stalin realized that now is possibly his hour of glory, that what he always coveted, world domination essentially, may just come to fruition. And he had far-reaching plans of building enormous ocean-going fleet. It would happen not during his lifetime, and certainly not during Khrushchev era, but much later, that Soviet Union did achieve eventually a status of prime maritime nations, maybe a second to Great Britain and especially United States, but certainly with a huge ocean-going, serious, powerful fleet. But that would happen much later. In 1944, it was only the beginning. But they already had those plans without a doubt. And without a doubt, it was important to now reward naval personnel, which was kind of an obscurity up until that point. There were awards to Air Force, to airmen, not specific awards, but they were really lavished with a large number of decorations. It just so happened. There were certainly awards for all other services, maybe not specific to a service, but very little of it went to the Navy, to the naval personnel. And now there was a time, finally, to reward the naval sailors. And Nakhimov Medal was just a part of that plan, I'm sure. So the medal, just like Ushakov Medal, is quite uncommon. One of the reasons for that is that it came late in the war, and even in the last months of the war, naval action on the Soviet side was limited. There was some engagements against German ships, even capital ships in the north. There were some actions in the Black Sea, but Stalin was still very reluctant to put his capital ships at risk. Whatever little he possessed, he wanted to save for the future confrontation with United States, with would eventually become NATO. He envisioned that. He knew that there would be no peace.
Yes.
There would be what we now know Cold War, but there was absolutely no doubt in his mind that there would be no peaceful coexistence.
This is clear evidence. Of
It's one of those. One of those indicators, and it's for that reason that they didn't still use Navy on a mass scale, nothing like American warfare against the Japanese. Navy didn't play as big a role still as it did for, say, Italy, or it did in the early days for France, or it did certainly for Japan, for the Great Britain. Soviets still used it to a limited extent, and therefore there were not many opportunities to award with the medal before the war ended. So the medal is quite scarce. In fact, interestingly, even though it's a lower medal than Ushakov Medal, which is roughly an equivalent of Medal for Valor. Same as Combat Service Medal is the lower award to Medal for Valor. Medal of Nakhimov Medal is lower award to Medal of Ushakov. There were only 14,000 issued throughout the entire war, and that's a tiny number if you think about it. Millions of medals for valor were issued during the war, and then a lot more after the war. Same with Combat Service Medal, and to even larger extent, Combat Service Medal, starting from 1944, was being awarded for length of service to officers, to career military, for simply serving without reprimand, without major issues for 10 years. So anybody with 10 years of service behind his belt would automatically receive Combat Service Medal. It was never the case with naval awards. So there was little reason to award them, scarcely a real reason to award them during the war. And after the war, again, there was not much going on. When Soviets were engaged in Korea, for example, yes, Navy participated to some very limited extent. There was a lot of air action. There were Soviet pilots flying missions pretending to be North Koreans.
Right.
But not so much sailors. So there were not many opportunities to award it after the war and in the last year of the war. And all of that led to medal being quite scarce. Now, as far as the looks of the medal, how does it look? And just like Ushakov Medal, maybe to a little lesser extent, but it's very unique in the Soviet medal world. It has, first of all, a pretty large medallion, larger than most other Soviet medals. And one unique thing about it, and we can only wonder why, of all Soviet awards that are considered decorations, meaning awards that were for more important feats, not just for participating in a battle, but for actually showing extraordinary achievements or feats. Of all the numbered awards, and Soviet decorations invariably, that's what makes it a decoration, were numbered. Nakhimov Medal is the only one that is made of brass. If you think of any other Soviet award with serial number, be it an order or a medal, they're made in at least silver, that's majority of them, but in some cases in gold or even platinum. Order of Nakhimov, the senior award to Nakhimov Medal, you could say Nakhimov Medal is continuation of this order. Just like in the Imperial times, there were medals that were continuation of the award of, say, say, St. George. There were St. George crosses, there were St. George medals for enlisted personnel, whereas officers would receive Order of St. George. Same here, but it's made of brass.
Yeah, interesting.
Another very unique feature is that, and I will show it in close-up, that the medal is numbered on the rim.
Oh, wow.
It's the only Soviet award that has this feature.
Wow.
All other Soviet decorations are numbered on the reverse.
Wow.
There is a serial number. The number is on the reverse of the medallion.
Interesting. Just like early American campaign medals were numbered on the rim.
Yeah, that's possibly where they got the idea.
The idea.
Or the British medals that are named
That are
on the rim.
named,
The only medal, and maybe the idea came from the British, because, British
Naval tradition.
Sure, and British were often awarded, I shouldn't say often, but on many occasions, awarded with Russian imperial decorations. Like, for example, sailors that participated in the Battle of Jutland were awarded with Russian awards, with St. George crosses and so forth.
Right.
Not everyone, but quite a number of them. And there were other instances when, and likewise, some of the Russian imperial naval officers were awarded with British awards during World War I.
Yeah.
And that's possibly, you got to just, I think you got
tradition,
it right.
yeah.
So it is tradition. Also, a curious part of the design, of course, is this top of the medal, very unlike any other Soviet award, and resembles the top of the anchor.
Okay, well, let's get a close-up on this. All right, cameraman, let's get the close-up going.
So here we have a very nice example, and by very nice I mean nicely preserved in every way. Nakhimov Medal. What it has is the portrait of the admiral, who was, of course, the hero of the Crimean War, incidentally against the British and French and Turks, defender of Sevastopol, the first defense of Sevastopol way before World War II. It was in 1850s that the war was fought, lost by Russia eventually, but fought very valiantly. And this fellow here was the organizer of the defense of the city and lost his life while manning the bastions. Admiral Nakhimov is written here. There is this very peculiar looking eyelet, which is unlike any other that you see on Soviet medals. It's a separate part, sorted to the medal. And of course, ribbon is very unique too. It resembles the color of a sailor's shirt, sailor's blouse.
Yes.
So that's the idea behind the stripes. On the back, a sailing ship from, I guess, before Nakhimov's time, and crossed anchors, an anchor chain. So it has a lot of elements on it that you don't typically see on Soviet medals. And the whole design is very imperial. What is Soviet about this medal? Let's think about it.
Very imperial. That's right.
There is nothing, almost. I mean, the only thing you can find is this star, and it doesn't even have a hammer and sickle.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
you're right. Very imperial.
So it became a very imperial state. They were no longer hiding it really that much.
Well, the naval, the Navy is very traditional, so.
All right, so you have to have powerful Navy if you're a big empire.
Yes.
Now, because we already discussed the overall look of the medal, let's go to the variations and types. And again, it's a very, very fortunate situation for modern collectors. Why? 14,000 medals ever struck at the same place. There were no variations. There were no types, I should say.
Okay.
All the medals are of exact same look. They were made, every single one of them, using the same die. And unlike the medal of Ushakov medal, there were no post-Soviet versions of it.
Okay.
So it ended with the Soviet Union pretty much.
Yes.
And for that reason, it's very easy to identify original medal or identify fakes, if, of course, you know what to look for, what signs you have to pay attention to. And we will be discussing it now. But speaking of dies, as I said, it's always the same die, absolutely no versions of it. There were variations in the way that the serial number was executed. On most medals, it's just like the one that you see here. It's a stamped serial number. However, the first issues up to approximately 1550 serial number, the medal's serial number was engraved. And
This upside down?
this engraved now.
Oh,
sorry
I'm
about
sorry.
that.
There we go.
Okay, so it's 9557.
Oh, low number.
They never high. 14,000 is 14,000 is about as high as it goes.
Yeah, that's the style.
Yeah, this is the style, and you see how number fits into the rim. It doesn't go over. All the numbers, all the digits are very clear.
Yes.
It fits perfectly. There are 3 versions of the serial number. This happens to be the third one. The first one was engraved. The second one is very similar to this, but the numbers, the digits are slightly larger. But when I say slightly, emphasis on slightly. When you see digits that are very large, that barely fit or touch the edges of the rim, that's an indication this is a phony number and a phony medal.
Okay, when the numbers are too big.
And in McDaniel's book, which was published back in the 90s, this matter was already discussed. So by now, fakers know how to avoid being detected.
Right.
So number alone and its font is not a certain
Not an
indicator that the medal is original, but at least it's the first thing that you should look at. And I have a page for Paul McDaniel's book that I can actually show where there is a comparison between fake medals and originals. And if you give me a second, I'll show you.
Yeah, let's whip out that book
Show
here.
you this book.
Yes, yes. I mean, what a fantastic design.
Very, very unlike anything else that Soviets had
Yeah.
up until that point, at least.
Yeah.
And they really never repeated it either.
Oh, I love the sailing ship in the back. That's
Sailing
that's
ship,
just
it's a
classic.
classic. Yeah,
That's just
yeah,
classic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
You wouldn't expect them to
No.
do it in the 30s. for
No,
example.
no,
That was
man of war right
It's
there.
unthinkable.
Yes, yes.
But look, this is an indispensable book. I
Here we
never
go.
tire
Here
of
we
recommending
go.
it.
There we go.
And this is what I mean.
Oh, here
Engraved
we go.
serial number,
There
the
we
first
go.
version. Second version of the serial number,
There you go.
already stamped in larger numerals.
Okay.
The one that I just showed you has smaller digits.
Mm-hmm.
And finally, 2 fakes.
Ah, the 2 fakes.
Look
The
how
big numbers.
drastically different the number is. So that's your immediate first line of defense.
Yes.
This would be one of the older fakes that had this error.
The red flags.
One red flag that's absolutely definite.
Yeah, yeah.
If you see this, run, stay away.
Wow.
But that being said, let's go into finer details. And just to finish on the serial numbers, the ranges for the serial numbers are from 1 to 1550. And speaking of 1, I have it on good authority that the medal with the serial number 1 is located here in the United States.
No kidding.
In,
Wow.
somewhere in collector's closet.
Okay.
And I happen to suspect who that collector is.
Yes, yes.
And who knows, maybe someday it will end up on the market. That
It'll
would
be in the
wonderful.
open market.
That would be wonderful. But it's up to 1550 or so, approximately. The number ranges I give you are approximate. Then from 1550 to about 6000 is the second version of the serial number that I just showed in McDaniel's book, slightly larger digits. And finally, from 6,000 to about 17,000 are the numbers that are just like the one on this medal.
Yes, yes.
Just slightly smaller serial numbers.
Yes, yes.
So smaller digits, I mean.
Yes, yes. Okay, set upside down like this. I mean, right side up. Let's see there. Yeah. Oh yes, yep, yep. That is nice. That is nice.
Okay,
Wow.
so you may ask why 17,000 serial number when there were only 14,000 numbers issued. They didn't utilize all the serial number range.
Oh, it wasn't sequential.
Certain ranges were left out for whatever reason. Sometimes, and this is general for the Soviet award system, you see serial numbers occasionally on orders and medals much higher than you would expect for the number of issues, and that's because some numbers were never utilized. The likeliest explanation is that some were probably just simply not passing quality control, and they got it down
Right, right.
at the mint, but also because some were reserved, in some instances medals were manufactured at different places, and there was just bureaucratic mismanagement. But one way or the other, some serial numbers just simply don't exist. Case in point is Order of the Red Banner. There's a whole big range of serial numbers for the Red Banner screwback version that just don't exist.
Wow.
There's no such thing.
That's another must-have book right here.
Oh yeah. You can go. It's 30,
of
almost 30 years
Right, out of print.
since it was published. Over 25 years, I think.
Yes, yes.
And
yes.
it's still indispensable.
Beautiful work. How much would a collector have to pay to obtain a copy?
You can look it up on Amazon. We don't have any right now, but I
Wow.
would say about $400 or possibly
Okay.
$450 in nice
Okay.
condition, possibly even more. It goes up every time.
Okay.
Every year I see that.
Oh, well worth the money, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, it's still worth the money. You make one mistake on a medal like Nakhimov Medal, and
Oh no, you're
out a couple of $1,000.
yeah, you're toast.
Right
Yeah,
there.
Absolutely. Wow. Nice.
By the way, it does say here, and we are talking year of what, 1997
Sure,
when
sure.
it was published.
Yeah,
It says already, the Nakhimov Medal is frequently fake.
Frequently faked. That's amazing.
Now, with that out of the way, last thing I wanted to say before I forget is that the first version of the medal is quite scarce, obviously, because only 1550 is the top serial number you could expect to see, but also because apparently they were made not very reliably, with this eyelet often breaking off. And there is anecdotal evidence, at least, that no documents, but there is there's strong belief among the collectors in Russia, at least, that only some 70% of them really did exist to begin with. So a lot of them didn't pass quality control. So out of this 1,500 issued, or theoretically possibly made, only 1,000 were in reality made.
Oh wow.
And left the mint. So it's quite scarce and something to definitely look for.
Wow.
And again, fortunately, variation 1 looks just like variation 2 or 3
Yeah.
in all other respects besides serial number. What are the important parts of the medal that are attributes of the original piece?
Yes.
Well, first of all, if you look at the hat that the admiral is wearing, see the visor, and at the brim of the visor, at the edge of the visor, there's this groove that goes along the length of the visor. And I try to illustrate it here in my sketch.
Yes.
Pardon poor quality. There's this groove. Here's the visor.
Oh wow.
And at the edge, at the top front, right at
Yes.
this groove, at the
Yes.
level of this groove, there is a notch.
Oh, there's a notch.
You will see it on it's a die flow.
So let's look at this die flow.
See, near the tip of his visor.
Into the darker background.
This
so
is
the
something
camera
that's
can
very
capture it.
difficult to fake.
Oh yes. Okay, we got that ridge there.
There's a tiny, there's a ridge. And you see this like triangular, like a hole.
Oh yes. Yes, yes.
Right here. Right here.
Oh yes.
Right here.
We got that. Yep. Yep. Fascinating. Yep. There's that little
So this is
gap.
one of several
Little
several
gap.
attributes
Yep.
of original medal.
And double lines on the edge.
Yeah, but
the
double
visor.
line is easy enough to fake.
Yes.
But not so much
But
this
then,
tiny triangular
yes,
thing. I've
yes.
seen some funny cases when fakers, who now know that people are paying attention to this,
Okay.
would try to make it artificially.
Oh, geez, like
literally,
scratch it in?
Scratch it in, but you
Yeah.
can tell.
Yeah.
You
Those
can
are the
see
numbnuts.
it's-
Yeah. Well, that's a real
So,
deal right there. Nice. Nice.
Next. This is not the only one.
Okay.
There are a number of them, of these idiosyncrasies of the die. I will discuss just a couple, but that will be enough.
Okay.
In most cases, in all cases.
Okay.
I think. Look at the epaulettes.
Yes.
Okay, you see these little beads at the end of the
Okay,
epaulettes?
let's look through your drawing here.
Little beads.
Yeah, little beads.
And there are sort of additional beads poking out
Oh.
underneath,
Oh.
on a couple of them.
Oh.
And they're kind of connecting the beads. They're in between.
Double beading.
Double beading.
Double beading.
You don't see it under every bead, but you definitely see it under couple of them.
On the right side.
And every medal has it. And you know what's fortunate? Even if the medal is very worn, this area is recessed.
Okay.
So you don't expect this part to be worn out because it's closer to the lowest portions of the design.
Good. Let's bring it back onto the darker background and let's examine again for the double beading. Oh, now we see
You see it?
Yes,
Right there.
Yes,
Right there.
we do.
Here's
Clear
one.
as day.
Here's another one. Two.
Yep.
Okay, little like extra beads kind of poking out.
Wow. God bless the iPhone. Look at that. Can't even see with your naked eye.
Absolute must for a real medal.
Yes.
If you don't see it.
The extra beading. Yep.
Okay, one more sign. You see this little star here?
Yes. All right.
Okay, the only Soviet element, if it's
yes, that's right.
Soviet,
Yeah.
of the entire design. Well, look at what's under the lower right arm of the star. See this little line?
Oh, imperfection.
This little imperfection, and I tried
Right.
my limited ability to.
Yes, of course. Let's
to
look
show
at the
it.
drawing for a better
So
illustration.
here's a star.
Yep.
Here's a star.
A little bit of tail sticking out there.
And there is a little tail sticking.
Yeah. Let's start with the tail.
Start with the little tail at the
Yeah.
bottom.
The tail of the tail.
Tail of the tail.
Yes.
Okay, whatever other associations you might have. It says
Oh yes. Clear as day, right there.
right there.
That's why it would behoove all collectors to bring a loop.
Oh yeah, you
examine.
can buy it with your eyes closed. It's
Yeah.
insanity.
No. Don't just buy it on faith. Yes, believe your own eyes. Gotcha.
And last.
And
but
there's
not
more.
least, there is more. One last point that I want to
Okay.
make, and
Yes.
that's on the reverse.
Okay.
We would have to find something of that nature on the reverse. And yes, indeed, it exists.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the anchor chain and the larger, not the larger links, but the links facing us, where you can see the holes.
Yes.
Okay, one of these links, this one in particular, on the right, at approximately 3 o'clock or close. Like others, it has 2 holes, obviously.
Yes, it has
for
2
the
holes.
connection. And in one of the holes, in the lower hole, there is kind of an eyelash, they call it, which is not very easy necessarily to see, but when you make a larger,
Eyelash.
there is a little eyelash, and I tried to show it here.
Oh, wait a minute. On that
On this
particular
one.
link.
Yeah. You see right here.
Oh, God. Yeah. I can kind of.
Right here. If you, especially if you point the light from the sort of side.
Let's just. Oh, yes. You
see?
Oh, yes.
In the lower hole, there's like little extra metal.
That's right. Holy.
Not
cow.
in this one. Not in this one.
Oh, not in that one.
In this one. Here.
Oh, yeah.
Here.
Okay.
Here. In this hole. In
Okay.
this hole of the anchor chain.
We
And here
got
again, I
something,
tried
yes.
on my sketch
To
to
illustrate.
show, to
There we
illustrate
go.
what it is.
That's what we got. Nice drawings, though.
Ah.
Did you were you trained as an architect?
No.
As a
Kidding me?
physicist, right? Yes.
No, yeah. So this
Gotcha.
this would be the
That's
side
what we're talking about.
roughly speaking.
That's what we're talking
When
about.
it's very hard maybe to show it on the phone, even iPhone, but you can kind of see it. You
Oh,
can kind of see it.
we see it. We see it. Yeah, the genius of Steve Jobs right there. Yeah.
See, extra metal.
Helping us from
It's
the
like
grave. Wow.
partly filled. The hole is
Yes.
not
It's not a
fully-
clean hole. No.
yeah, it's not completely.
Compared to the top hole, you see it's clean.
Yeah.
But the bottom
This
hole,
one has something in it
Yeah.
on the left.
yeah,
On the left
that's
side.
right. There's a tail there.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
Wow.
so now these are your important die flows.
Yeah. Red flags.
If you don't see it on
That's
the
right.
medal,
Mm-hmm.
stay away.
The odds are it's bad.
Simple as that.
Wow.
There are others, but you know, one detail that's not a part of the die, but just because of the way that it was made and finished.
The construction,
At the mid, there are often grooves here at the
Grooves?
base of this of the eyelet.
Oh, grooves. Okay.
See, because they had to do it because it's a separate part, so they had to clean it.
Yes. Yes.
To clean whatever sorter was left or
Okay.
whatever extra metal was left.
Yeah.
So there are, for one reason, or maybe because of the way that it was made initially,
Right.
but I guess it's part of the finishing process.
Yes. Yes.
There are these lines,
Wow.
almost like scratch marks.
It's a science, basically. That's incredible. Beautiful.
And suspension is just like any other suspension of the period.
Okay.
Self-locking pin.
Okay.
To make sure
Yep.
it's an original World War II suspension.
World War II suspension.
Medal suspensions were often replaced with more modern ones by Soviet veterans because they wore their medals, and oftentimes ribbons got destroyed or soiled, and suspensions would get broken.
Yep.
Pins would get broken, so they would, without thinking much of it. Nobody looked at medals as a collectible in the Soviet days.
Yes, yes.
So replacing a suspension, nobody would give us.
It's a utilitarian item, yes.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's a mark of distinction.
Now, as far as sizes, we would have to address that as well.
Okay.
And I have excerpt of sizes and weights
Yes.
for the medals that we had in recent past.
Okay.
And you can see that medallion is 2.5 to 0.8 millimeters thick, not 3 millimeters. That's another giveaway, by the way, of a fake versus original.
Okay.
Original medals are supposed to be no more than 2.8 on the outside.
All right.
They may be closer to 2.5, 2.6. But 2.8 is still tolerable. When it gets thicker than that, that's a definitive indication that it's a fake.
Gotcha.
So if you see a medal that's 3 millimeters thick on the rim, and it's very easy to measure, there's nothing to it. You just take your micrometer, which is missing.
Yeah, it's right
It's
here.
right there.
Let me hand it to you, doctor.
Thank you very much.
There you go.
And you put it at 0. Don't forget to put it at 0. I sometimes
There
do.
you go. We have to use
And
proper technique.
And then get
Yeah.
my,
The measure of the
my
thickness.
blood pressure up.
Yeah.
And you see, it's 2.8, still within tolerance.
There we go.
2.8.
It's under 3.
Under 3. Wait, we're under 3.
That's what we want. That's what we want. There we go.
And you can measure it in a couple of places. Here it's closer to 2.7. It will vary
Okay.
depending on location, 2.8. But no more than 2.8 here.
Gotcha.
So that's as far as
Good data,
the
good
thickness. The width. I don't measure the height for a reason that metal is so complex. The eyelet is a separate part. It's really not an indication of much because they could skew it a little bit when putting it on. It's a good measurement. When we sell a medal, it's kind of a passport of the piece. So we want to give it all the attributes. So
Yes.
in our description, you will see not only the width, but also the height.
Okay.
But for practical purposes of identifying and making sure it's original, width is more than enough. So the ones we had recently, in recent years, I should say, 36.4, 36.1, 36.2, it all is around 36.2 with very little deviation,
Yes.
little variance. And you can see that some of them were very low serial number and still the same measurement. Some were very high, still pretty much in the same territory. Super low, 164.
Nice.
That's about as low as they get. That's at least in my experience.
There's a consistency.
So there's a consistency, yes,
Absolutely.
certainly.
That's what we're looking for.
Weight is less consistent, and again, this is normal.
Sure,
Soviet
sure,
medals.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
Because every little variation in
Yes.
thickness of the metal sheet, for example, or in the way the strike was done, results in a significant difference. in
We're
weight.
speaking about grams.
Yeah, but it's still within limits. So I don't recall any that was heavier than 21.0. And of course, I'm only talking about the weight of the medallion itself, not the suspension and not the connecting ring. And I've already showed in one of our episodes prior how to measure it.
properly.
There is
Proper technique.
there is you get to be a little bit accustomed to it,
Yeah.
but it can be done. And the lowest number that I see here is 19.8 or 19.5. We're affected to some extent, but you don't really expect to see anything below 19.5, or at least significantly, and anything much higher than 21. So that's your range. About 1.5 is the total range, 1.5 millimeters.
Good data. Solid data.
And that's probably all we need to do to understand what what the original versus fakes are.
Yeah.
It's simple enough, fortunately, with Nakhimov Medal, and that's the beauty of it. And that's why I think the prices will eventually go up.
Okay.
Because this knowledge is being disseminated. I'll help as much as I can.
Okay.
But from other sources too, people find out what the real deal should be.
Yep.
It looks like, and it's going to be harder and harder to sell fakes as a result. So
There we go.
originals, they are bound to go up. Prices today are around $2,000 for a medal in nice condition.
Wow, 2,000. Okay.
2,000, maybe a little bit above.
Not
As
bad.
I said, it's a little more scarce
Not
than
bad.
Ushakov medal.
Yes.
But on the other hand, Ushakov medal sometimes more desirable
Yeah.
because of its higher status and because it's made in silver and because it has, of course, a very unique over-the-top, you could say, look with its
Yes.
chain. Variation 1 would be much higher than that because of its scarcity. I would say probably around $3,500. I took a look at some of the past prices that we had on our website. And in 2018, Variation 2 medal sold for about 1.9, so just a tiny.
Oh, 1,900, no?
1900, just a notch below
Okay.
its current price. In 2015, a nice one with low serial number for a Variation 2. And it was interestingly to a sailor who was serving on a U.S.-built motorboat. And people don't realize how big a role American and British supplies meant for the Soviet conduct of the war. Soviets and even Russians, of course, today especially, downplay the importance of Lend-Lease. And I can tell you that I'm no historian, but I have a lot of documents passed through my hands that many historians don't have a chance to look at. And I have my own perspective. And from my own perspective, with limited, admittedly, knowledge that I have, I'm absolutely convinced that Soviet Union would not win the war without Western supplies.
Wow, without...
There was so
Without help,
much,
yeah.
and in such important categories, tanks, airplanes, you name it, boats, there was certain types of equipment that Soviet Union simply did not have. For example, landing boats, the ducks, the amphibious boats,
Right.
cars. Soviet Union simply didn't have any.
Yeah,
Armored personnel carriers were mostly U.S. built.
I see.
Or maybe 100% U.S. built. I'm not sure,
Yeah.
but very, very close to 100% at least. Tanks, Soviets and now Russians often say that American tanks were junk, that they had gasoline engine, which is true. The Germans would easily catch fire. That, of course, T-34 was much superior. That's a lie.
I
And
see.
you know how we know it's a lie? Because many of Soviet elite units, guards, regiments, and divisions, tank divisions, in the middle of the war, were retrained and re-equipped with Shermans. The Shermans that they got, they only gave to the best tankers.
Okay.
Why would that be if they really considered Shermans inferior?
Sure.
Shermans were vastly superior in many respects, in terms of targeting equipment, in terms of reliability.
Yeah.
Maybe they were not as good in very rough terrain
Yeah.
in the snow, and maybe they did more easily catch fire, but the crew was much more comfortable,
Yes.
much more operational, much more capable of
Yes.
doing
Much more effective.
much more effective for that reason, wouldn't tire as much.
Yeah.
They wouldn't get stuck in the middle of the battlefield like
Yeah.
T-34s often did
Yeah.
because of the breakage, because of poor maintenance and poor quality to begin with.
Yeah.
And targeting equipment, it was known to Germans that for every two shots, that T-34 fired, they only needed one. Basically, they would put they would have a chance to outgun T-34s because their targeting was so bad, targeting equipment was so bad, optics was so bad that they would usually miss. So that's just one point, but same with naval equipment. A lot of submarines, a lot of naval ships, came from the Allies.
Hmm.
And this is just case in point. But it's still very cool. It wasn't maybe prevalent in terms of numbers. Maybe 20% of Soviet tanks were U.S. built, or somewhere in that neighborhood. Just a limited number of airplanes, not 100%, not 50%, but maybe 15%. I'm guessing, or 20%. But that small number was vastly superior in quality and reliability. And the Soviets just loved Western equipment whenever they could get it.
Yes.
And it was of huge value.
Yes.
So I digress a little bit, but in any case, to return to naval medals and prices, 2010, still 1.8, $1,800. 2009, $1,600. 2006, with McDaniel certificate in superb condition, $1,800. So McDaniel certificate at the time when he was doing authentication and issuing certificates would be worth at least $250.
Wow.
In the last year, at least, that he was doing it before he quit.
Just a certificate.
So just a certificate. So you can subtract $250 or so from that price. And also, it's still great. Medals with his certificate sell for a big premium even today, because this is a good provenance. It means that medal has been there for so
it's
many
been green
years.
lighted, given a thumbs up.
That and also that it just has been around for so many years. It has been in the West, in private hands for such a long time. So all that makes it more valuable. So you can see that prices didn't really progress all that much, and that's for a number of reasons. In 2008, there was a huge bubble in the prices of Soviet material, not just Soviet, other as well. And that, of course, bubble deflated very quickly when U.S. economy got off the rails, and then Russian economy as a result eventually. So there was a big drop in prices, and then, of course, Russia got itself into all kinds of adventures, like war in Crimea, war in Georgia, fully fledged attack on Ukraine. So for that reason, of course, Russian economy suffered, and prices keep depressed for a while. But it will change. It's bound to change. I think among the first to go up will be medals like Ushakov and Nakhimov, because of very limited number of them out there, because of research so easily available. We'll get to this in a moment. And also because they're so hard to fake. So many features that make them awfully difficult to fake. They can fake some of them, but to do all is practically impossible.
I see.
And now that we are done with that, why don't we discuss some real cases? Oh yes, prices, I almost forgot. I wanted to also look in the past.
Oh boy.
Use our time machine.
Yes.
And that's our catalogs that were
yes,
published either before there was internet. You see one from 1996, that's before we had a website.
That's right.
And there are also some more recent ones. There's one for 2000, 99. And let's check what the prices for Nakhimov Medal were back then. I almost forgot. Oh, let's look. 2000, serial number 10689, that would make it variation 3. What is the price? 230. No, that's Ushakov, I'm sorry. 5029, World War II issue. Okay, that would be variation 2. $280.
Wow.
$280.
Wow.
And you know what's funny? Variation 1, which is almost double, or it is 70% more, 60% more than variation 2 or 3 today. Look at that. 785 is archival research.
Incredible.
$420.
Incredible.
So the difference between the two, yes, in terms of percentages, maybe it's big, but in real terms, it's what, $160, $140. I'm sorry.
Once again, it's negligible. Just spend a little extra and get the best. And you won't regret it.
If you want to have just one version of Nakhimov Medal, of course, try and get the
best
version with the engraved serial number.
Wow.
2000. Let's look into 99.
Okay.
And these are all very realistic prices, all this stuff, of course.
Yeah, of course. These are prices that sold.
Here's another one with engraved serial number. That one, $450.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
So roughly $3,500 today.
Okay. Wow. Definitely surpassed inflation, so to speak.
I would say so. Nakhimov Medal, that's very early, 1996 catalog. See, before the internet age, we don't have reference to
Sure,
our
sure.
website.
This is the old school catalogs.
This was yeah, the very primitive catalog that we have back there then. And the price for the Nakhimov Medal, $290.
Wow. Blast from the past. Tremendous.
But it doesn't say if it's first version, so I assume it's the second one.
Yeah.
But still extremely cheap.
Yeah. Very nice.
So that's as far as the prices go. And lastly, I want to just show one example of actual Nakhimov Medal and mention how it's easy. I already discussed that at length with the Ushakov medals. It's basically how to research it, how to find out who was awarded with it. Fortunately, there is a book. We don't have one for sale now. It's out of print. However, you may be able to find one on Amazon, for example. If you look long enough, you'll probably find it. It was published in 2012, and it says Cavaliers, the title, it's entitled Cavaliers of the Medal of Nakhimov. Very simple.
Okay.
The author is Yefimov. It's a simple matter of checking the serial number. Let's look again what it is, and let's see if we find it in the book. Okay, and the number is 9557. 9557. Let's see what it brings us.
It's just amazing that we have copies of medal rolls.
Yeah, it's very complete, very detailed. 9957, is it correct? Oh, I'm sorry, 9557. I was looking there. Yes. 9557. 557, yeah, here we go. Rychlik Pyotr Kuzmich, Senior Seaman, Pacific Fleet, which makes it very interesting. And the date of award is 2010 means it's 20 being the day of October of 1945.
October 2045, wow.
October of 1945.
Wow.
Of course, October 1945 almost definitely means that it was awarded for action against Japan, not against Germany. And Pacific Fleet also means just that. Now, Order of the Red Banner, Pacific Fleet. Now let's look at what he did to earn the medal. This is just a copy of the book.
Okay.
And by the way, when you have this printed out, you can simply, or copied, or if you have the book, you can simply type the name completely, first, last name, first name, patronymic, copy it, paste it into a Russian website search, and the websites are either Podvig Naroda or Pamять Naroda, pamять-naroda.ru. They'll provide the link, or the name of the website, rather.
Okay. And rumor has it that the future episode will include instructions on how to get on the internet.
Yes, as I promised.
You don't need to speak Russian or read Russian or...
Yep, how to research Soviet awards with limited means. Not every award, but many of them. And especially the important ones, like Hero Stars, without knowing any Russian whatsoever.
That's incredible.
So even if you don't know Russian, you can type this in Google. There is a translation part of Google website, Google Translate. Just type it, you'll find it. Go on the website, not just on quick search, but go on the website where there is a big block on the left, on the right. You don't know how to type in Russian, you don't have a Russian keyboard, no worries. It's taken care of. There will be a drop-down menu, little keyboard will appear. If you select language, Russian language, they will give you an opportunity to type, to select those letters, those Russian letters, the Cyrillic letters. Copy what you see into this box, or in Word file, wherever you want it. Copy from there, paste it into Russian website, And lo and behold, the wonderful world will open
And
up.
we're not talking about hand copying. We're talking about good old, well, good new-fashioned computer copying.
Yeah.
Just click, highlight,
Click and paste.
right-click, copy, and then paste.
And the beauty of it that at least on the Podvigner website, they give you a synopsis. And that synopsis is in digital form. It's not a copy of the original document. It's not just a Xerox copy or whatever it is can. It's actual digitized text. And for that reason, that can be translated too with great ease. Just Google Translate, boom, you get a complete translation of what's on this page. And that's a lot of information already. You already see where he served. He served in a frigate, of the coastal frigates of Pacific Fleet. Then he served on cruiser Molotov. Then he served in the weapons school, armament school. I don't know what capacity at that point. You can see what awards he got. Interestingly, he got Medal for Combat Service. Probably earlier, but it will have the dates too, dates of awards in most cases. He got Nakhimov Medal. This is the one that we just looked at. Also Medal for Victory over Germany. So he did participate in the war against Germany, unlike many Pacific Fleet sailors that stayed in the Pacific for the duration of the Second World War and therefore never fought against the Germans. This fellow actually had time to fight both enemies. He was in the West, on the Western Front for the Russians, for the Soviets, and then he went back to the Pacific and fought against the Japanese.
So most items in the inventory that are numbered and that can be researched, do most of your items come with all this paperwork?
Majority of them. Majority of them. In some cases, it's just too much labor and time, and we can't spend.
The collector can easily do it
collector
himself.
can do it,
Gotcha.
or also in some cases, I have to admit, it's almost not worthwhile, and here's why. If it's a medal for combat service that was issued in the last months of the war, and we can tell by the serial number, we can never tell by the serial number when exactly it was issued. They were not issued in sequence, but we can guess. It's always a guesstimate.
I see.
And it's law of averages or statistics.
Yeah.
So statistically, it's likely to be within this particular range. So we can tell by the serial number that in all likelihood, there's a 90% chance, for example, that medal was issued at some point between November 1944 and maybe May 1945. Right? And if I see that, and it's a combat service medal issued during this period, I won't research it. And you know why?
Why is that?
Because chances are it's for length of service. It may be something that's totally uninteresting.
Gotcha.
It could be a guy who never served on the front line, or at least not during the war.
Right.
And if it's rear echelon, it's like, what's worth of that research?
Sure, of course. The person was
So
just
honestly, I
got a medal for being
it.
there.
If you already have the medal anyway,
and
want to spend extra few dollars, it's not really that expensive.
Okay.
But for a relatively inexpensive award, it's probably not a very good return. In some cases, we just can't get any data. Or in some cases, for example, I see that this is a very interesting version of the medal, numismatically very interesting. Researching it won't really add much value. For me as a dealer, I have to be kind of cynical about it.
You do, of course.
Because I run a business and I
Yes,
have to
of
make
course.
profit. For collectors, it's slightly, for collectors who are just purely collectors,
Sure.
it may be a slightly
worth the
different
time.
perspective. And I would encourage, if you can, maybe not today that there's such a conflict and Russia is adversary.
Well, you even learn Russian. Absolutely, go all the
You
way.
know, you'll be surprised, but I know quite a few people, collectors,
There you go.
who learned Russian to at least some extent, and some of them are absolutely fluent.
Oh yeah,
I was shocked at how good
It's a passion.
some of them are. And you know, it's all very doable. Russian language, it sounds scary, I'm sure. It looks
Sounds
odd.
impossible to learn.
But
right?
it's not. It's really a European language. It's different markedly from in grammar and many things. But at least to understand it on basic level, you don't have to be a genius, and it won't take years of learning. It's probably much easier for European than Chinese, definitely.
Yeah, and as you mentioned before, it's the Cyrillic alphabet is based on the Greek.
It's
alphabet,
basically Greek
right?
letters. Russians basically copied Greek letters
Yeah.
and called them their own and added a few odd characters that are neither here nor
Yeah.
there, and are not used very often in any case, and very easy to memorize
Okay.
in addition to Greek. But your Omicron in Greek is Russian O, and incidentally Latin O as well.
Okay.
And Russian N, which looks like an H, is Greek Nana.
Yes, yes, yes.
And so forth and so on. Russian M is same as Latin. So many characters are same as Latin.
Yes,
and
yes.
simple. And others, like D is delta. You see this Admiral?
Yeah,
Second
yeah.
letter is
Oh,
D.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's delta.
That's right. That's right.
So it's a D.
Easy, easy.
It's fairly easy.
That's it.
Fairly easy.
Yep.
No, it's easy for me to say.
Because you're the professor.
No, it's because I was born there.
Very nice.
Anyhow, let's get back to this fellow.
Yeah, this citation here.
The citation. So he was senior mine artificer of AK-9, which, as we know, was a small frigate, they called it, of coastal detachment of the Pacific Fleet. He initially, and this is why Medal for Defense for Victory over Germany, he initially served with the Black Sea Fleet. He joined the military in 1940. Born in 1941, joined the military in 1940. He fought in Crimea, defended Sevastopol.
Yeah.
Fought in the Caucasus, so obviously he had medal for the defense of Caucasus. I don't know if it's shown here. For some reason it's not, but he was definitely eligible to it. If he fought at Sevastopol, he was probably eligible for medal for the defense of Sevastopol. So, oh, actually, yes, look at this. It's not shown in the synopsis, but it's shown here. It says that he has been awarded, at the point when this recommendation was written, this medal for the defense of Sevastopol and defense of Caucasus.
Oh, very nice.
I didn't even see it initially.
Very nice.
Then it says, what his particular feats were. And very interesting. During the naval assault on the city of Seysin. That's an important key. We can immediately try and find the city on the map. And it's a pretty well-known location. Maybe not
Yes.
not to people who are familiar with that part of the world.
Soviet naval battles.
But we have a book. This is just one of many that I use. And this one has a very nice map of Soviet naval operations during the Second World War, and specifically a war against Japan. And Seysin was a naval port on the Korean eastern shore.
Oh, wow.
And this was, of course, area of control after the war, of Soviet control and puppet regime after the war. But Soviets took it during this short campaign against Japan that lasted only a couple of weeks. And Seysin was one of the very important targets that came under assault, under naval assault. There were a couple of others where they had similar attacks. And there was some resistance actually at Seysin. It wasn't a cakewalk as in some other places. And there is another name that this city is known by, and that's Chongqing. I don't know, I'm probably butchering the pronunciation.
Yeah, something like
Chongqing.
Yeah.
Chongqing. This could be a Chinese name.
Yeah. Who knows?
But lo and behold, you can see the plan of the operation, how it proceeded, the dates, everything is here on this map. So an important location, and of course it's nice to see awards for naval assault, for infantry assault, for amphibious assault.
Yeah.
It says that under enemy fire, he gave the ropes, the tying that he tied the boat to the embankment and to the shore, whatever installations there were, and by doing so, facilitated very quick disembarkation of the troops. The ship was the ships that participated in the assault came in turn under assault of a Japanese submarine. But he immediately prepared the mines that he was responsible. They call them mines or bombs. These are really depth charges that they're talking about.
Oh, they're not really mines. Gotcha.
He prepared depth
charges.
charges. They call them mines. In this instance, bombs. And by doing so, made sure that the dropping of the charges was conducted extremely fast. And as a result, the attack was repelled. And submarines had to turn back. Enemy submarines, or in this case, they say, but one submarine turned back, and enemy ships likewise. And all the ships were able to reach their bases on their return trip. In this battle, he conducted himself in the most professional and resolute manner, and he is therefore fully deserving of the above-mentioned award, which is
nice.
Which is interestingly, he was recommended for Order of the Red Star initially.
Okay.
So his commander of the ship, was recommending him for something higher, for Order of the Red Star, but that was changed, and it says that in the end, the recommendation was changed initially to Medal for Combat Service by the brigade commander. By the frigate brigade commander. But then it went higher up the chain of command and eventually resulted in the Nakhimov Medal.
Wow.
So that's the full story of how it all happened with this particular individual. There are some names. These are rosters of recipients of Sevastopol Medal and Medal for Victory over Germany, and he's there as well. So that's pretty much all that we can find out, and that's plenty, I think.
Well, that's beautiful for a very humble-looking medal.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So that's all we had on the Nakhimov Medal, and that concludes our series on Soviet naval medals.
Fantastic. And of course, every item that has been showcased in our episodes, most of them are available for sale. Many have been sold already. So feel free to look up the website, right?
Oh, absolutely. You're welcome. And
what's the website for collectrussia.com?
Collectrussia.com.
Okay, very good.
Collectrussia.com.
And here's the name of the website.
That's the name of the website. Don't forget.
Excellent.
And if you like this video or others, don't forget to click like button.
Oh, Lord. And please
subscribe.
Subscribe, yeah. Does it cost anything to subscribe?
Of course not.
Oh, okay. Good.
It's all free.
Thank God.
Isn't this wonderful?
Okay. Yeah. Free.
Free.
Nothing more expensive than free. I mean, it's
but
free is cheap.
People don't.
Thank you, Igor. Oh my God,
you're
fantastic!
So welcome. My pleasure. And now that we've covered all the naval medals,
yes, we reviewed the naval medals. Now we got to review something else.
We cannot be at sea and stay completely dry.
No. That's right. That's right.
So
we can't sail straight unless we have some juice.
Yes, some grog in the good old days.
Some grog.
Yeah, but
there we go.
Today, I have a bottle of a nice French wine. How about that?
What, French again? Okay, then.
Yeah,
all right, listen, you promised we're going to taste some crappy wine, right?
Someday, but
for
now,
okay.
let's
all right,
stick with French.
Okay. Please surprise me with crappy wine in the future. Okay, enough of these good stuff. It's like too much good stuff.
I know.
Okay. All right, let's get cooking. Oh, so what do we have here today?
Oh, what magically appeared on the desk right in front of us?
None but magic.
Is a bottle of Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Pape.
Châteauneuf-du-Pape. Pape is like in Pope of Rome.
Oh, okay.
And we can history of
very nice. Spelled P-A-P in French, which means Pope.
Yeah, and Châteauneuf means new castle of Pope.
Okay.
And you know why it's named after basically Pope of Rome? Because there were two popes. Some point in time, for a period of time, there were two competing popes.
Okay.
And Avignon in southern France, Rhone Valley, was the official residence of the Avignon Pope.
No kidding. And the other Pope was what, in the Vatican?
The other one was Vatican.
I see.
So, and they were supported, one by French, by the French kings.
Yeah.
And the other one by various times by Holy Roman Empire, Germans basically.
Very nice.
Austrians. In any case, so while popes were there in Avignon, they didn't waste any time, and they explored the area as far as wine making. And it was a very ancient place for wine growing, back from ancient Greece times.
That long ago.
Yeah, so they knew this was an area very good for wines. And Rhone Valley in general is a great winemaking area. It's southern France, southeastern France.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it's on the opposite side of. Oh, wait a minute! I think I screwed it up.
That's amazing. So these fertile grounds have been in existence for hundreds of
Oh
years.
yeah, some of them. Oh, disaster here.
Oh, just twist it off, right?
No, twist it off.
Oh.
It's not gonna work.
Yeah, sometimes the cork just
Just
gives way.
wouldn't
Yes.
evaporate.
Yes, yes.
All right, let's try it from the other approach.
Yeah. Well, you're the master salvager.
Let's see if I can pull it off this time. I'm not so sure.
Get a grip in there. Yeah, for the average Joe, this cork would have ended up in about 20 pieces
It
in the
may
wine.
still end up, and most likely it will end up in
No.
the bottle.
Yes, it seems you got it. There you go. Look at that technique. Patience.
No, Jim, that's bad.
No. So you get. Yeah.
It's crumbled.
Yeah.
So dry.
Yeah.
No, it's bad.
Interesting.
We'll have a case of wine. We'll need to decant and go through the filter
Okay.
and get rid of the cork, or the pieces of the cork, if it's any good at all, because I suspect now maybe.
Yeah, fascinating. Wow.
Not blaming wine.
So in a situation like this, the cork is too dried, or what, what do you mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it was too dry for, for whatever reason. Although it was kept correct.
Yeah.
What happens?
Interesting. Yeah, so you have to treat it very gingerly.
I think no matter what I do at this point, it's not bad. Yes, it's like falling apart right from the start,
Yes.
from the bottom to the end.
Okay, look at that. Wow, ladies and gentlemen,
Oof,
what you have
just
witnessed
barely.
was pure technique.
Oh, yeah.
Pure technique. Look how the end remained intact.
Ooh,
that is
that was
technique.
tough one.
That is technique.
Yeah, that was one of the worst.
Yes. I don't think there has ever been a cork that defeated you, right?
Yes, they
More
more than one.
Oh, yes.
There are some
Many
corks that are
corks
just,
kicked my
just
butt,
too
but,
damn dry.
It's
This one is, it's still wet on the end, so
Yes,
it was
yes.
kept right,
It happens.
the right way.
Yeah.
But
That's right. That moisture does make a difference.
okay,
All right.
now to the tasting. Let's see. Let's hope
Yes.
this wine is still good.
All right.
The first glance, maybe.
Yes. Okay. Sure, nice. Oh, good. Thank you very
No
much.
pieces of cork, I hope. floating in
No.
it.
Oh, nothing. It's clean. Absolutely clean.
All right, shall we?
Yes.
So it's a wine completely different from what we had before. It's neither Bordeaux nor Burgundy, no Gascogne. It's from other area, south of France, and it's a vast area. It's kind of to the south of Burgundy, and Burgundy is to the south of you could say of Champagne region. So it's way to the south, and it's because it's a big area. It's kind of split into southern Rhone and northern Rhone.
Okay.
And this one is southern Rhone.
Okay.
And it's not far from Avignon, as I mentioned. And this wine is mostly made of grape called Grenache. And there are some others that they use.
Grenache.
Grenache. They also use Syrah, and also known as Shiraz in Australia.
I see.
But this one is mostly Grenache.
Okay.
Plus maybe some other minor grapes.
Oh.
Yeah, I think popes knew what they're doing, what they were doing.
Oh yeah.
It's much softer, if you notice.
Oh wow.
Much softer than Bordeaux, especially than Medoc wines.
Yeah. So that's how you say softer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Though
Very
it's
nice.
not nearly as tannic at all.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
It has acidity, but no tannins.
No.
I mean, there are some tannins, of course,
Wow.
but not quite as much as.
And what kind of foods would this go with?
I deal with lamb. I like to have it with lamb.
Okay. Now we're talking.
Not too bad with duck.
Okay.
Not too. I mean, some exotic foods maybe like what venison. Maybe wild boar. Maybe spicy food. Like Mediterranean food for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe some kebabs and
Yes,
some
yes.
Greek food.
Yes.
I think
Greek food,
possibly,
right? Yeah.
But lamb for sure.
I mean,
Without
this.
a doubt.
Yeah, it's just so unique.
Ah,
It's just so unique. No two wines are alike.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Isn't it completely different than the others?
They're completely different. Completely different.
Oh, it's good. I'm happy I didn't ruin it. And look at the legs. Oh, tears.
Oh, yes.
Tears. I think the right name may be tears.
Oh, tears. Yes, yes. Ah, yes, yes.
Look.
Yeah. Gotcha. Very nice. Very nice.
Swirl. Oh, yes. The bouquet is just wonderful. Very complex.
Wow.
Lots of different notes. Lots.
But you still remain a huge fan of Bordeaux.
I kind of split. Bordeaux is, again, it's the question of affordability. Bordeaux can be a great value. Just great. Just beats anything.
There you go.
Bordeaux
Value.
can be
Yeah, we're talking about
massively,
value,
insanely expensive.
Yeah.
Like some famous ones like Châteauneuf-du-Pape.
Okay.
Thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Aubryon, many thousands of dollars.
Mm-hmm,
Some famous ones. But Fit Rothschild, very expensive.
mm-hmm.
But then right next to this very famous vineyard can be, you know,
Just a
little
small-
known
Yeah.
chateau
Yeah.
producing just wonderful wine.
Yeah.
Just wonderful wine. And you will pay like $20, $25.
Of course. Of
30
course. Yes. Yes. As they say, cheaper than water, right?
bucks. Almost, you could say.
Mm.
This one is a little bit more expensive because it's a very famous appellation
Oh.
of
Okay.
Rhone wines. There are Rhone wines that are dirt cheap, literally, like even better ones. The Hermitage wines, they're still desirable and very good compared to the rest of Rhone.
Yes.
And
yes.
they're still fairly inexpensive. Then there are some very expensive ones like Proprietor, because they're so tiny. The appellation is just you know, size of a handkerchief.
Oh, this is fantastic. Yeah.
But Châteauneuf is a nice balance between like going insane, you know,
Oh, okay.
spending too much money.
Gotcha.
And also, it ages very quickly. Well, in other words, you don't need to keep it in the bottle as many years as some of the mid-dock wines. For
Yeah.
example.
My God. And once again, wow. There seems to be a common
Gets
theme
very-
here. Yeah, all the great wines came from this particular period. 2017, 2018, 2019.
What a coincidence!
I mean, yeah, when wine was great, I guess. Yeah, that is amazing. Absolutely amazing.
But actually, French had a very good run for the past decade or more. Very blessed with weather. They complain all the time. You go there and talk with any winemaker, they'll tell you how it's horrible what's happening to the planet and what's happening to weather in their particular area, and how it's global warming that's just ruining everything, and they now need to harvest wine much sooner than they did before. But guess what? Their wine got better,
Of course.
better and better, and they're very happy as far as the profits go.
Yes, of course. And of course, we have to be reminded that no dolphins were killed making wine.
Yeah,
Dolphins
no,
safe.
not a single dolphin, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe some other animals, but no dolphins.
No dolphins,
Not
great.
a single dolphin.
Wow.
And that's only because we were not in any vicinity to the ocean.
Okay.
Yes, of course we would kill some. Speaking of dolphins, you know, I don't know about dolphins, but whale meat is very good. Have you tried it?
No, I never had a whale meat.
Yeah, in Japan, they eat it regularly because Soviets had access to the Pacific. They hunted and also in the north. And there was you didn't see it all the time, but there was canned
whale.
Canned whale.
Yeah, you don't say.
It wasn't bad. It kind of was on a salty side. It's like beef.
Yeah.
Very similar to beef.
I mean,
Shredded beef, basically.
Tastes like beef. Okay, not like chicken.
No, chicken. That's an alligator.
I see. Very nice. Very nice. Wow.
Yeah, we had some exotic kind of stuff sometimes,
Yes.
like calamari, like squid sometimes, like frozen in like block, or little tiny shrimps.
Wow. Well, Igor, it's a fantastic way to conclude episode on naval stuff. What were you going to
Yeah,
say?
because we are kind of swimming in wine.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you were going to say something
About oh no, I was just thinking about life in the good old USSR and
Oh, I see. I see.
how rarely we
Yes,
had access
yes.
to food, but sometimes very unexpectedly there would be
Yeah,
something
yeah.
out of this world completely.
Yeah.
Strange.
Yeah, so we have been receiving numerous inquiries about life in the USSR. And so we will be producing some short episodes about life in the
why
old
not?
USSR
Yeah,
because you were there.
To me, it's such a normal thing to write home
yeah.
about, sort of.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
I suppose for American viewers,
Oh, of course, the things
it
we
may
take for
be-
granted.
may be interesting in some-
point pens,
right? And I'm not talking about civil
restaurants.
war.
No, all the way. But future episodes will,
Sure.
will satisfy the thirst of fans out there, right?
Yeah. for
Yes,
things like
yes.
that.
And you were the eyewitness. My God. Thank you once again, Professor.
You bet, and thank you.
Yes, and thank you
Great episode.
all the viewers out there. Yeah. And please, pass it on to your friends, subscribe, watch the whole video,
If you can,
and try to stay awake.
if you can manage,
That's how you can manage. And
hit the like button.
hit
if
the
you-
like
if you
button.
it.
Yes, like and
Just
subscribe.
be truthful. If you hated it, just click nothing.
Yes,
But
yes.
if you liked it,
Yes, absolutely. Yes. God bless America. And
bless
thank you.
America.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Fantastic.
I think it's what you want.